Navigating Solo is the official singles adult ministry podcast of the United Pentecostal Church International. Navigating Solo is dedicated to encouraging single adults in every stage of life by using biblical principles to navigate discussion on various topics. Here's your host, Dr. Lorraine Orozco.
Welcome to Navigating Solo. I'm so happy you joined us today. We are so happy to have Andrea Blaszyk as our guest on the podcast. Welcome, Andrea. It's so good to have you.
Thank you, Dr. Lorraine. Thank you for having me.
Well, I wanted to go ahead and jump right in. And for those of you that do not know Andrea, I want you just to tell us all about yourself, where you're from, your family, education, work, church, and all that wonderful stuff.
Okay, all the things. I'm from Kansas City. I've got, my family is, I've got my mom, I've got my brother and my sister. They're both married. I've got two wonderful nephews that I am just crazy over the moon for, and they are spoiled rotten by Aunt Andrea. And I told everybody I'd be the favorite, and I've kept good on that promise. So that's wonderful. Let's see, education. I've got a bachelor's degree of nursing. I've got a bachelor's degree of psychology. I've got a associate's degree, degrees. I've been to Bible school. Oh my goodness. And then I just got accepted to grad school. So I haven't told a lot of people yet. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to get my master's in nursing for my family nurse practitioner, maybe more. We'll see what God has there. I am a nurse. I've been in oncology for the past 10 years. It's very important to me. I knew when I went into nursing that was probably what I was going to be drawn to, and I have been. I've worked also in the inner city for the majority of my career. I've recently, in the last few months, switched to oncology research, also as a nurse. But I'm very passionate about that. So that's my career. And then as far as church, I attend the Life Church in Kansas City, pastored by Pastor Justin Gleason. And we're very blessed to be there. And as far as ministry, I lead the singles ministry at our church. But if you're looking at all over the years, I have done just about anything that you can think of, like most kids who grew up in church. So that's kind of life in a nutshell.
Awesome. And so you are 41, is that correct?
42.
42. Okay. 42. And I'm 43. So I'm right with you, sister.
Yes.
42. At this point, you've never been married, and you've just been involved in so many great things and all those amazing degrees. So I hear that. That's incredible. Getting into graduate school and doing that. So congratulations. So
thank you. I'm excited.
So I wanted you to share whatever unique thing that you have about yourself that you want to tell us about.
Oh my goodness. I actually had to ask people. So I'm a great listener. I've heard more random life stories than I think a lot of people maybe have, just because I don't know. It's just people are drawn to me, and it just happens. I have a lot of patience for children, animals, and the disabled. I have a lot of patience for people who don't know better. I have less patience for people who do know better. My sister said sassy but classy, or classy but sassy. I don't. So I hope that I lead with the classy, but I mean, we do have a little bit of sassy in there. I guess who doesn't? A very creative thinker. So I love to hear other people's ideas because I like to help them brainstorm on things. I love to help magnify people's ideas and take it to another level so that they can do cool things, because maybe it's something they haven't thought of before.
You're a good sounding board. You're a good sounding board.
Yeah. That's what I love doing that stuff.
That's good to be. So I wanted just to kind of go into, I know that you have a unique family story, a life story. So I was wanting to know if you would share that with us.
Yeah, just in brief, my parents pastored, they started off in home missions in Iowa, and they did that for a few years when I was a kid. And then we lived in Wisconsin. And when my dad was 33, he passed away from leukemia. And I was 9, my sister was 7, and my brother was 2 at the time. So that was a major life transition. My mom went from being a pastor's wife, and then she was a single mom with 3 kids. And she stayed there for about a year, pastoring the church, by the way, at the time, until they voted in a new pastor. And then we moved to Kansas City to be near family. And then we lived here. She met somebody and remarried, and that turned out to be a very abusive relationship. And so, there were kind of a couple of major bumps in our road, but she got out of that relationship, thankfully, and then continued to raise us as a single mom. And then, me, I've never been married. I don't have any kids. And so in leading our singles ministry, I think I've got kind of a unique perspective because I've either experienced it for myself or I've been very close to somebody who's experienced some of the things that go on for single people, because being a single parent is very difficult. Losing a spouse through death, losing a relationship, going through some pretty significant traumatic things, and then not being married, it's that has its own unique experiences too. But I like to think that in some of those things that I've experienced, that I bring a unique perspective to the table of singles ministry. And I like to think also that I, to some extent, can understand where others are coming from.
Well, I wanted to know, I'm just kind of curious in that, because you mentioned that your father died of leukemia and
Yes.
that you're in oncology. So is that kind of the reason that was something that you wanted to pursue?
Yes, 100%. I have told my patients, not my parents, I've told my patients often over the years that cancer changed my life. And so with my career, I've wanted to change the face of cancer. And it's such a unique perspective that I know that it's not something that everybody can do. But since I have had to walk that road, I am not afraid to walk that road with other people. And so, I have, been many times with people who feel like their families and friends and whatever don't understand exactly where they're at, because people either back off and distance themselves, maybe and feeling emotional about somebody's sickness, or they try to over control people when they're ill. But I love to make them laugh, and I love to have deep discussions about things with them, and help to make it easier to go through that experience, because everybody knows that we have an expiration date until you actually have an idea of when it is. And then suddenly when it gets real, it's a whole nother ball game. And so being somebody who helps people navigate the roads of terminal illness or just sickness, because, we love to find cures. That's incredible. But, when there's not a cure, and how to die with dignity, I think that's also very important. And it's something that I've been very privileged to do, and something that I'm passionate about with my nursing career that I'd like to continue to do as a provider of healthcare.
That's awesome. And so going into this graduate school program, this is nurse practitioner.
Yes, I'm going to be in a family nurse practitioner program because it's very versatile, but they don't do technically like oncology, specialties or residency or anything like that. However, you get into your own little niche in a field, and, you'll find a way. So I know that those are the kind of things that I'll be looking for to help to continue to treat my cancer patients, because I just love doing what I do.
That's incredible. And I love that you're able to use your education to also help other people that have gone through the things that you have gone through. And as a single person who is, raised, your dad was a pastor, and then, being raised by a single mom, and now being involved in ministry, and, being never been married, being able to minister to people at your church and being a leader. So I think that's wonderful. And I'm so excited for that next chapter that you're moving into your life. It's so exciting. So I wanted to kind of go into my other question. And I know that you and I have talked about this, and we've talked about singles events. So I wanted to ask, what singles events, ministry events, have you been able to participate in? Because I know you've been in a couple
Yes.
of years.
I know part of me wants to start singing that song. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, right? I have been to a lot of them. I've been to Spark in Indiana 2 or 3 times. There was one year that I went to the one in Texas, the Lufkin Singles Conference, followed by, no, that was a different one. Okay. Followed by one in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This was in the middle of winter, by the way. That was interesting, driving in that. And then Indiana the very next weekend. So like 3 in a row, boom, boom, boom. So that was a fun year. And then let's see, I have been to Summit, which was fantastic. That's the National Singles Conference. If you don't know, you need to go. And then my very, very first one that I went to was in New Orleans, in Louisiana. And that was fantastic. It was a great trip. They did a great job. Yes. So a lot.
And then Missouri District just started their conference last year. Yes. So you were there last year.
Yeah, I was there last year. I plan on going there this year. And it's great. It's in Branson. And if you've never been to Branson, you really need to experience it, because it's all about God and country. And then just joining up with other people who are single, understand where you're coming from, making connections, making friends, and having a really good time and a good vacation in a place that is very wholesome and fun to be in. It's good. It's a lot of fun.
So I'm excited because I will be with you in Branson this Labor Day weekend. So that is going to be great. And I'm excited about going to see Esther, which is the Sight and Sound, which I've never been, doing the river cruise. And I think that you'll be leading something one of the days, or doing some kind of activity out there.
Yes, of course. I am the shopping director, right? So we're going to hit the town. No, not the shopping director. I gave myself a title. It's not true. But I am going to lead the expedition around town shopping, because, I have been many times. So I know where the outlets are, people.
Awesome.
I will get you the hookup.
All right. So if you go, you are going to want to get yourself on that train and go shop with Andrea.
Yes, come on.
We will be there. That is exciting. So that's great that you've been able to be at so many different singles conferences, meeting many different people. You mentioned the Summit, which I know is like, every other year, I believe, and then just happened this past year, every other year. And then Lufkin, I know, is like every year that they kind of do that. So that's exciting. So I wanted to kind of go into, since you have been to so many of these conferences, how is being involved in and going to these singles conferences, how has it benefited you specifically?
It is fantastic. So first of all, I would not be in singles ministry today if I had not gone to a singles conference. I was seeking some direction in my life when I went to my first one, which was in New Orleans. And that's a 16-hour drive from Kansas City, I will have you know. And I had to go alone. Because we didn't have a singles ministry at my church. So I was just seeking some direction for my life. And I drove down to New Orleans, and I was by myself, and I was nervous. And I walked in, and, they asked me in the first 5 minutes why I was there. Not because they really were genuinely wondering what it was that I came seeking for at that conference. And so I was just telling them, I'm just trying to figure out, does God want me to go to grad school right now? Does God want me to pursue something in ministry? Because he'd been kind of dealing with me about starting a singles ministry at our church. And within the first 5 minutes, they were praying with me about it. They literally, I felt like I walked into a warm hug, legitimately. And I'm still connected to those people today. So that is what my experience with every single singles conference has been, is that it's a place where I go and I make connections. And I'm at a point in my life where some of my closest relationships now are with people that I've met at singles conferences, friends from all over the country. who I have connected with there and who I found things in common with, and who, we're experiencing similar situations in life. And, maybe I don't have people, at my church that are going through the things that I'm going through, but somebody at the singles conference is. And so, there's like that instant connection where we're bonded and we've got things in common. And it's just made me feel so welcome and warmed. And everybody wants that. Everybody wants that experience where you go someplace and people are happy to see you, and there's something to do and there's something to be excited about, and they're concerned about your life. And that's the experience that I've had at Singles Conference. And I will say that if you are somebody who loves the Lord and is seeking God with all that you have, there have been moves of the Holy Ghost that I've never experienced anywhere else other than at a Singles Conference. I've got my own theories as to why that is, but I will say that God shows up in a way that he doesn't necessarily show up everywhere else, in a very special and deep way. I will never forget one Singles Conference in Lufkin, Texas. Sister Jennifer Williams was speaking that year. And when I tell you that the Holy Ghost was in there like a river, it was so deep and it was so rich and powerful. It was such a move of God. And every time I've been to a Singles Conference, I walk away with something that I need. And so if there's any more motivation to go, if you are seeking God about anything in your life, head to a Singles Conference, because you're going to meet him there. Absolutely, you will meet him there.
Well, I'm excited to be in Branson and going to some of the Singles Conferences and that are coming up soon. So yes, if you have any hesitation, go. There's plenty of them. So go. So I wanted to just ask, what are some of the words of encouragement that you'd like to share with other singles who are also in the same, place in your life that you are? What would you like to say to them that maybe are just like needing an extra word or need an extra like boost in the right direction?
Oh my goodness. There are so many things. There are so many things. But if I could say something about encouragement for singles, God has not forgotten you. And I think that sometimes we get so hyper-focused on a direction that we are seeking God for, whatever that may be. And consequently, we are looking this way, but God is trying to say, I've got this for you. If I could point you in this direction, the things that would fulfill you, because there are things that would be walking in the purpose for which I have created you, are in this direction. So my encouragement would be an encouragement to not resist the Lord when he's got a certain path for you to follow, because you never know what is going to be down that path. It could be absolutely amazing and incredible and blow your mind. And I, being from Missouri, the show me state, have often failed in this capacity where I am so eager to push for one thing when God has this for me. But I will tell you, when I submit to walking the way that God has for me, there are things that start to expand and grow and fulfill me in ways I never would have experienced had I continued on my own path. And so I would encourage singles, while you are in the space of singleness, you may have responsibilities. We've got careers and obligations. Maybe you've got kids. Maybe you've got, certain other obligations that you feel are keeping you in a certain space. However, it is a unique time as a single when God is your partner to listen to him in a unique way and how he's trying to direct you, because he's got a path and a plan. And I guarantee you, the Bible even says his thoughts and ways are higher than our ways. Don't discount that, because, if he's got a higher path and a higher plan for you, and I'm just being resisting because, I want to be stubborn in my own thing. Well, I'm getting old enough. I should know better by now. So I'm going to start pursuing that higher place and that higher path. And so that would be something that I would encourage singles to do. I would say probably one of my biggest things.
That's good. That's really good. Just not to resist God and just allow him to do what he wants to do in our lives instead of just being like stubborn. No, I want this, but just let God lead us, because you're right. His ways are higher. He knows so much better than we do. So that's really great. And so I just wanted to ask in closing, and it has been just wonderful to be able to talk with you and to learn about you and your life and all the wonderful things that you are doing and pursuing. Is there anything that you would like to add and like our audience to know?
Oh, for sure. First of all, if you ever meet me, come say hi. I love meeting new people. Second of all, I would say, just because God's got a path for you doesn't mean you can't make plans. Mm-hmm. Now, that being said, be sensitive to the Lord when he's changing your plans. However, it's important to have a goal, and it's important to shoot for something that's maybe just slightly out of reach, even if it's planning a vacation. Mm-hmm. And, we can sometimes get into this place, well, I don't have the money. Start planning anyway. You start saving your pennies and start planning that dream vacation and build those experiences, because you can build a wonderful, situation just by making these little plans and planning these adventures, big or small, for yourself. Like, it's an adventure for me to go to grad school. I wasn't my inclination wasn't actually to pursue this. This is something that's more God's been pushing me into, and I've been resisting. And now that I've stopped resisting, the door is bum, bum, bum. Like, that's how he does it. But, this is the plan. And now I'm excited about the plan because I know it's going to be the good plan for me. So, I'd say, first of all, get excited about the plans God's got for you, but then set your little goals along the way, because there's going to be fun and adventure and all sorts of wonderful things that are waiting for you.
Awesome. That is wonderful. And we are excited for you. I'm so excited for this next season in your life. So thank you, Sister Andrea Blaszyk, for speaking to us today. To all of our audience and all our listeners on Navigating Solo, God bless you all.
Bye.
Join us next week for another great interview on Navigating Solo.